There are few people in this world who can succeed without any goals or plans. They're either really lucky or they've set some type of unworldly deal with somebody. For the rest of us, having a plan is probably the only way to succeed in what we want and to build trust in others so they're actually willing to follow us. Now, what happens though when you don't have a plan or your plan is off track? It makes no sense to try to push through and persevere, right? By setting goals, you can actually strive to complete them, which you'll then use to persevere and push through those challenging times, which inevitably are going to come. Now, this doesn't mean that all the goals or tasks will be correct, but you can find alternatives and make adjustments when needed. At least when you have a plan, you have a reason to pursue them. This is what Devon and I are going to be diving into in this episode number 26, so stay tuned. Right about now, you are listening to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, a show where we discuss living as a leader worth following, leading others to do the same, and in doing so, leaving a legacy for future generations. My name is Jimmy Gonzalez Jr., a learning and development professional and leadership coach, sitting down with my co-host, Anthony Devon Watts Jr., an expert contact center leader that has effectively led and developed dynamic teams with high motivation. Together, we have over 30 years experience in the corporate game. Join us as we discuss our growth as leaders, share the lessons we've learned, and interview others to see how their leadership style was shaped as they were mentored by adversity. Hello, and welcome to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, presented to you by the Legacy Leadership Learning Group. Again, this is a show where we teach you what it takes to live as a leader worth following, how to lead others to do the same, and in doing so, leave a legacy for generations to come. I'm Jimmy Gonzalez Jr., and I'm joined by my co-host, Devon Watts Jr. Yes, sir. If you're new or one of our loyal listeners, please feel free to rate and review this podcast. We would certainly appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, we'd love for you to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. And then share. Share this with another leader that you know can really, truly benefit from the content that we're providing, and that you know they're going to be able to learn something and add to the community as well. All right, y'all. We're going to dig in and see what golden nuggets we're serving up for you guys today as we discuss setting goals and perseverance.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to dive into this one. For our legacy leaders, just because if you've been listening and following along, not just with the podcast, but the legacy leader community, and a couple of other segments that we have out, you will notice a overarching theme over these past, 2 months, and it's really around focusing for success and then goal setting. I mean, it's that time of year. We know that everybody's going through the process right now, developing their visions, identifying what they're going to accomplish in 2021. Again, not playing with 2021 the way that 2020 did not play with us, right?
No, sir.
And so we know that along that journey, we should be sharing nuggets, or we want to share nuggets for our legacy leaders around how to really maximize your focus, how to really refine your goal setting process, and ultimately how to ensure that you can stick with the game plan that you put together and persevere. And so I think we got a lot of really cool stuff to be able to share with the legacy leaders today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to jump right in. I mean, I think, we wanted to start by just taking a quick, kind of rewind to yesterday. If you have not been joining us, make sure that you get into Facebook and the Legacy Leader community. Again, that's a spot where you'll be able to reach out to us, have additional conversations about the episodes and other topics, ask questions, and really be a part of this growing community that we have that is there to support one another and help each other along this journey when it comes to, again, living as a leader worth following and then learning how to lead others to do the same. So we just recently went live. We go live every Wednesday night, again, in the Legacy Leader community in Facebook. And we're really talking about, why habits don't stick. Coming off of the live that we did last week, prior to that, which was focusing on, really why you should get comfortable with asking for help. And again, we just felt like all of these topics are certainly timely and kind of piggyback off of one another. But yeah, there was a couple of key points. We gave 9 tips and then 3 action items in the live that we did. But there was a couple of points that we wanted to make sure that our listeners and viewers really got a chance to hear too, as we kind of get into this topic of setting goals and perseverance.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of with the nine tips that we provided, outside of the 3 action items that follow, but the 9 tips that we provided are really broke down as to why habits don't stick. There were a litany of them, but really the overarching theme really comes down to how do you go about setting your goals first and foremost, and then secondly, how do you persevere after your goal has been set and you're kind of on the journey, you're on the pathway towards working towards that goal. Now, if you listen to the last episode, you know that we talked extensively about the difference between behavioral-based goals and outcome-based goals, why they're important, how they tie together, the importance of ensuring that your behavioral-based goals tie into your outcome-based goals, and that you spend a lot of time really breaking down your outcomes-based goals into behavioral-based goals and analyzing, kind of the feelings that you have. Jimmy and I talked extensively about our feelings around one of our goals when it came to nutrition, but, you're analyzing the feelings that you have when it comes to these behavioral-based goals, right? And so I think we want to just be able to expand on that just a little bit more. I do want to actually take the opportunity to, since we've talked so much about the legacy and the legacy leader community, to just give a shout out, man, to our legacy leaders that are participating and contributing to just kind of the dialogue, the discourse, man. We have some really, really sharp people that we've been fortunate enough to attract and add to this community. I got to give a special shout out to one of our international legacy leaders in Mo Ash. Mo is a legacy leader for us out of Egypt, and he was rocking with us at 3 o'clock in the morning his time, 8 o'clock in the morning our time, and just dropping so many nuggets, man, as we really kind of broke down these 9 tips and then these 3 action items around why habits do not stick. There's some really, really good points that he just dropped in terms of reinforcement. So again, don't miss out. If you're not a part of the community, I strongly advise that you join it and just join the dialogue. Even if you're a little apprehensive about contributing immediately, no worries. There's a lot of nuggets that people are just, dropping, and experiences that they're sharing that I think you'll definitely be able to glean from. I think, after a little bit of exposure to the community that we've been able to build, you're going to be compelled to want to join in the dialogue. So definitely make sure that you check it out and you come join us.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we continue to build it out, there's a litany of free, resources that we're going to be able to provide besides the conversations and the lives that we do, that you'll be able to take advantage of and just continue to digest as you invest your time into developing yourself and your skill set and your knowledge base when it comes to this topic of leadership. And again, how do you become a leader truly worth following?
Absolutely.
So why habits don't stick? We talked about, you just mentioned, like, success just really comes down to the ability to set goals and to persevere. We're not going to dig heavy into the goal setting process. We talked a little bit about that last week, as well as you can go back to episode 17 and really get a full breakdown of 4 key components that will help you do that. But I think one of the points that, that we want to start with is that it's important to have a plan, right? And have a plan of attack, or really build, that solid foundation. So you have the goal, what it is that you're trying to attain, or at least you have a good idea of that. You might, do some mind mapping or create a vision board so you can see it. Once you do those things, again, you have to go through that process of putting those steps in place. That is your plan. That's your plan of attack. When you have a plan, it just gives you that solid foundation. I think you kind of compared it to, like a blueprint or floor plan when you're trying to build something. Is that right?
No, that's spot on, man. Your goal setting process and the way that you go about establishing and identifying what you're getting after, building in the behavioral based goals and the outcome based goals that tie into that, is just that, like you said, it's that blueprint. it helps to establish that foundation. I think a lot of times where, unfortunately, we go wrong is one in the goal setting process, we focus primarily on the outcome based goals, the end result, and not necessarily spending the same amount of energy into developing the behavioral based goals. But two, we put a lot of emphasis on the effort and not necessarily the plan. And I think, to your point, the critical component in this entire process is, again, it's not just about working your plan. You have to start with planning your work effectively. I just think about, man, like here recently. So the missus, she wanted to get a bicycle. All right. She wanted to get a bicycle because, she, again, as a part of her fitness goals for 2021, she wants to make sure that she gets moving, and I've already shared with you. I mean, we got, half of a skate park in our garage between like bikes and rollerblades and, all that good stuff. Actually Lennox, for Christmas, my mom ended up giving him like a Red Wing Racer, type stroller bicycle. So it's like that like that 3-in-1, it converts and stuff like that. So, we're doing more things in order to get outside of the house. And so she wanted to buy a bike. And of course, just like any good spouse, she's going through the process of purchasing it. She's like, hey, this requires it to be built, right? And she's like, you know how to build a bike? I'm like, yeah, I know how to build a bike. It's not that hard. Like, it's going to come with instructions, right? It's going to come with instructions. I'll just put it together. I've built Gio's bike. I've built other bikes before. Absolutely. Right. And so the bike gets here. It's been sitting around for a minute. I'm like, all right, finally I have some time. I'm gonna just take about an hour or so and build this bike. And I start pulling out the pieces. And like every confident builder, because I've had many years under my belt, right? Every confident builder, I got my tools, and I'm like, oh, this is easy. I don't even like glance at the instructions. You know what I mean? Like I grab the instructions, like, all right, I'm gonna toss those off to the side. I mean, how hard can this be, right? You put the wheel on the frame, and then you put the seat where it's supposed to go, and then boom, add some pedals, and then she could just go riding. You know what I mean? Again, I was more focused on the effort, the energy, putting in the energy in order to build the bike, and not necessarily make sure that my game plan was solid, right? And that I had the blueprint to how to build the bike. I just kind of tossed the blueprint aside. It's like, oh man, this can't be that hard. So fast forward maybe about an hour 15 later, and I got more pieces left over than actually on the bike, right? And like the wheels attached and the seats attached as well, but the seat don't look like it's attached properly, right? I think I mixed up the pedals, just not paying attention, right? And so inevitably, I hit that point where I had the pieces. I was like, damn, man, let me look at these instructions. Let me find out what's going on here, maybe where I went wrong, right? And so I expended a lot of calories. Building something, right, that ultimately wasn't built on a solid foundation at all. Like I'm confident if she would have hopped on that bike, like the front wheel probably would have popped off. I would have never heard the end of it. You know what I mean? But I finally just said, hey, let me make sure that I'm putting in the effort to understand the blueprint. Right, because this one was a little bit different, like, obviously than, Gio's bike or something like that, because this is a cruiser. It has a couple more pieces. It's really important in terms of, just kind of not just the pedal placement is proper, but also the braking system, because you can flip between two. It can be hand brakes, or you can, do what we like most of us know when we grew up, where you just pedal in reverse and it brakes, right? And so. If I did not follow the blueprint, it was likely that her braking system wouldn't have been set up properly, and so it just meant all bad, right? And so I draw a lot of parallels between that and when we're talking about the goal setting process, because for our listeners, how many of us have found ourselves in a position where we've set out what the goal is, we want to go achieve it, we didn't spend a lot of time really putting together the blueprint, putting together the foundation, putting together the game plan, right? We're just exerting the energy and like, oh man, I'm gonna start doing it, right? I'm not even going to put together a game plan on, how I'm going to grow my small business that I'm going to launch, and putting together a business plan, or I'm not going to put together a game plan or take time to put together a game plan for my fitness goals and how I'm going to make sure my nutrition is sound and what I'm going to work, or what body part am I going to work on each day. I'm going to show up to the gym, right? I'm going to show up to the gym with my new Nike Fit and, my water bottle, and I'm going to just start hitting it. You know what I mean? And we put all that energy in, and then inevitably we hit a point where we're either not seeing the results that we think we should be seeing, right? Or we'll talk a little bit about this a little bit later when we get into perseverance. So we end up hitting a roadblock, and now we don't have a plan, a blueprint to reference to say, well, one, where did my plan go wrong? And two, what can I tweak in my plan to ensure that I have a solid foundation? So it's just critically important. I mean, any good builder, any good construction worker will tell you that it starts with a solid blueprint, right? Like a solid blueprint. If they're building houses, they're not just compiling wood and saying, all right, we'll figure it out as we go, right? And as a consumer, because I know you recently went through the process of building, purchasing and building out your house, right? Like, I don't know how confident you would have been going with the neighborhood that you went with if they didn't have a solid blueprint to put together for you. And there's so you want like 3-4 bedrooms? All right, cool. We're gonna get the material, and then we'll just figure out the layout as we go. You'd be like, hold on, what do you mean you're gonna figure it out as you go? Like, no, and so. It's funny that as consumers, we wouldn't have an appetite for that. We wouldn't even remotely entertain something like that. But then when it comes to ourselves, our goal setting process, and even our approach to pursuing our goals and pursuing the things that we've defined success to be for us, we take that approach of not putting together a solid game plan and just thinking that if I show up and I put in the effort, then it's going to manifest itself. And it's a fruitless effort, man. So you really, really have to ensure that your game plan is solid. And that's what we've been talking about over these past episodes. When we get into goal setting, we give you a lot of the tactical stuff. That tactical stuff feeds into how do you build the proper blueprint. But one thing that you touched on that I think is just so critically important is in that process of creating your blueprint is also making sure that you clearly define your why from a goal setting process. So, man, your game plan has to be on point.
Yeah, I think, the game plan definitely has to be on point. Knowing your why is super crucial because I think knowing your why, like you have the goal, but if you really put that time into really analyzing and writing down, like, why is this goal important to you? Why do you want to achieve this goal? And again, getting back to the feelings, like put yourself in that mindset. So if your goal is a month from now, 3 months from now, like, how am I going to feel when I hit that goal? Right? Whatever that may be, I pass the test and get that certification, or I lose that weight, or I get that new job. Like, what is that feeling going to feel like? What is it going to sound like when I'm telling my friends and my family that I achieved that goal? Going through all of those different things to make it feel real. And then even think about, how am I going to feel if I don't hit that goal? Right? And really consuming some of those negative thoughts as well. Again, so you can feel it, because that's not the type of feeling that I want, right? We all feel disappointed or hurt, and maybe even sometimes fall back into that spot of, that negative self-talk. So we don't want that. We don't want that for ourselves. So feel that too. And then again, go back to those positive feelings that you're going to feel when you reach that goal, and then hold on to that. So it's important, again, to know your why. And I think that also drives you to put that blueprint in place. So we talked about it, but just at a very high level, it's whatever that high level goal is for you, know what that is, start to think about the why, the feelings, why you want to accomplish this, and then start to put action steps to help yourself achieve that goal. And you can even just start by brainstorming. If I know this is a goal, what are 5 to 10 things that I know I need to do in order to achieve that goal? Once you do that, then you can start to put, all right, what's step 1, step 2, put deadlines to them, and kind of milestones. So as you're going through, okay, I reached kind of that first step, I reached that second step. All of those things, again, help you to build that solid blueprint and that solid foundation. And like Devon said, once you have that outline for yourself, it's easy to make adjustments. Like, you can't really make adjustments if you don't have anything a plan to begin with, right? So when you have that plan in place, again, it just makes it that much easier for you to make those adjustments. And then that's really when your ability to persevere really comes into play, because you have that foundation already set for yourself.
No, well said, man. It's crazy too because, like, I was reading something on LinkedIn. I just it really resonated with me. There's a guy who's a recruiter who was talking about he's made a commitment to himself in 2021 to shift, like to change how he ends his interactions with candidates or with potential candidates as they're going through the process, right? Of instead of saying best of luck, saying best of skill. And the reason why he said that, hey, I'm shifting to no longer saying best of luck, I'm going to say best of skill, is because I know how important it is. Like when you're going through the interview process, or people are, you're trying out for a job, to make sure that you work your plan to put yourself in the best position possible, right, to attain that job that you aspire to get, right. And by ending my interactions with candidates as best of luck, it leaves the impression that like earning the job or getting the job is really up to chance. It's if it happens, if it's in the cards for you, right? Where it's much more direct than that, because it's directly attributed to the skill, the work, the effort, the goal setting, the vision, all those things that you put in place, all those things that you exerted, that plan that you built and that plan that you worked, that puts you in the position to be a viable candidate for that opportunity, right? And that was just so powerful for me that I started incorporating it in my discussions, as I'm doing interviews with candidates and stuff like that. And I've kind of been passing on that word, like, hey, I'm not going to tell you best of luck, I'm going to tell you best of skill, because luck makes it seem like it's up to chance, but really, it's the work, the effort, the experience you've garnered over these past years that have made you a candidate worth, just sitting down with me right now to talk about this opportunity. And it'll be on that merit that we make the decision around who we bring on board. So the reason why that comes to mind when you're talking about, your goal setting, your game plan, and you even mentioned, getting that job or losing that weight. When you have a properly set plan, when you really put in the preparation, you don't have to rely on luck to get the desired outcome, right? Because you know that the skill that you exerted in creating your plan, being thoughtful, being intentional, working that plan, that's what's going to put you in position to be successful. So that regardless of, because there is a component of luck, I'm not going to sit here and say that luck doesn't exist at all, right? But regardless of which way the luck breaks, right? Your game plan is what puts you in the position to be successful in spite of that, whether the luck plays in your favor or the luck goes against you. Because I've watched plenty of football games, right? I've been a part of plenty of football games where when you put in the most well-laid plans and strategies and approaches, and sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way, sometimes you don't get the call that you want, right? So the luck is not going in your favor, but because you have such a solid game plan, you can overcome that lack of luck and still have a successful outcome, still have a W under your belt, still end up winning despite bad calls by the ref and all this other nonsense, right? And then I've been on the other side where when you have the solid game plan, the luck does break in your favor. Oh, that's a good day. That's a good day. That's when you can do no wrong. Not only do we have an awesome game plan, but we're getting the calls, right? The ball is bouncing our way. Like, that's going to be a long day for the opponent. And so I think it's just important, like, stop, for our legacy leaders, if you guys find yourself in this position and it's resonating with you, stop relying or depending on luck in order to determine if the outcome is going to be in your favor or not. If you put the effort in planning your work and then working your plan, regardless of how the luck breaks, it's still going to work out for you, all right? So that you can get the desired outcome. So, it's again, that just like truly resonated with me. I was like, yeah, man, it definitely comes down to skill. This goal setting process, these things that we're talking about, there's a skill to it. This is not just happenstance. The people that you see that are successful, the people that you model yourself after, the people that you aspire, man, I want to attain that level of success. I promise you guys, it's not luck that made it happen. There is a specific skill, effort, game plan that they worked. And then so when the luck broke in their favor, they either accelerated, or even when the luck didn't break in their favor, they didn't break in the process.
Yeah. The saying is, there really no such thing as luck, right? That luck is when hard work meets opportunity. And I forgot the gentleman who said it, but basically the quote was, I found out that the harder I work, the luckier I get. Yeah. And shout out to my sister, Selena Winters. You can find her on Instagram. Has a lot of content out there. She's a consultant and business coach for a company, Monet, teaching people how to use these vegan products for facial and hair care products. So I was sitting down with her and really coaching her, right? And we went through this mind mapping session, and there was 4 different areas that I was helping her to mind map and focus on. But once we did that part, again, that's kind of the fun part, because you're strategizing, but you're thinking about these goals that I want to set. And then I was like, okay, so now comes the hard part. Like, now we have to take each one of these, and it was like 4 or 5 of them, and start creating those action items. And then once those action items are created, now you have to put in the habit to say, okay, let me take a look at my week. Let me take a look at each day. When am I going to start blocking time and making sure that I'm being intentional about blocking time to get each one of those tasks done? Like, that's where the hard work comes in. That's the habits that you have to create and make sure stick, so that you find the success. And every, again, successful entrepreneur, business person, athlete, entertainer, those really successful people that, you just see them. I think about somebody like The Rock, or even Michael Strahan. Like, has like 3 or 4 different jobs, and you see them working all the time. Well, how do they do that? Because they have these habits, they have a plan, and they're sticking to it, and they don't deviate. And if anything, they'll make adjustments. But they're so intentional about sticking to that, and they're still human like the rest of us. Like, we all have issues, right, that we're going to come across. And having those solid plans in place make it that much more easier for you to persevere, because it's going to happen, right? We saw, obviously, the greatest example that we've probably had in our lifetime was 2020, and we came, busting the door down and super excited, and one thing after another just continued to just come at us from all different angles. And it really gave us, a true lesson in what it means to make adjustments to your plans, how you're affected when those really tough life circumstances hit you and you don't really even have a plan to begin with. But again, more importantly, just the resilience of folks and how you persevere through those times.
Yeah, man. To say that I've walked away, or I've come out of 2020 just thoroughly impressed and in awe of the resilience and the perseverance of so many people in my life that I personally know, that I've been able to observe from a distance, would be an understatement. It really would be. And when we talk about perseverance, especially from a goal setting perspective, like, you hit the nail on the head. Inevitably, we're going to run into that roadblock. Having that foundation, having that game plan makes it easier to make adjustments. And I think you even call this out, like with, Michael Strahan or whoever, as they're working their plan, they run into this roadblocks too. Like, we all run into roadblocks, but because we have a plan, we can always go back and deviate and pivot and figure out another approach, right? And just being able to persevere is so critically important, because that's the difference maker. That's the X factor in being able to attain what you've set out to achieve, and falling short. Even on a small scale, again, I know our listeners have heard us talk, over these last couple episodes extensively, just about our fitness goals. Last night I was confronted face to face, right, with I was confronted face to face with an opportunity to test my ability to persevere when it comes to sticking with my fitness plan, right. I just put the kids to bed. Me and the missus were chilling, we were hanging out. I forgot what we watched on TV. Oh, we caught up on on Your Honor, which is a really, really great show. So we watched that, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna go get my workout in. Right, it's about time. It's about 10:30, almost 11 o'clock at night, which is when I like to work out. So let me go get it. So I started getting dressed. All right, I end up opening the door because I just want to get a feel for like, hey, what's the temperature out? Right. I open the door and it is raining, bro. I'm talking about like torrential downpour. You know what I mean? Like when they say cats and dogs, it was like the whole animal shelter. Right. And so I'm just like, I'm looking and I'm like, oh man, like it's raining. And it's cold. It's like 59 degrees outside. Right. And a part of my workout plan is, half a mile run to the gym, get my workout in, half a mile run back. Right. And so like I was confronted face to face with all the reasons to say, well, I ain't gonna work out tonight. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But because I already have a plan, because I have accountability planning process, not only do I talk to you about my fitness journey and making sure that I'm staying accountable that way. Our good friend, Pastor Shav, he and I are both on that journey together. And so like, even from the gym, our commitment to one another is every time we hit the gym, like we have to send each other a video of us in the gym, like getting work in, you know what I mean? And that's just another, level of accountability, right? A level of accountability is another form of coaching, right? Around my goal, right? Having an accountability partner. And so when I opened the door and I saw the rain and I felt the weather, I was like, well, I got to figure out another plan. Like, how am I going to change my plan? Because I know what I need to work out or what body parts I need to work out today. I know to what extent I need to follow through on my game plan. Right, I have a commitment to Shav. I got to send him the vid. I got a commitment to Jimmy. I know I'm going to be meeting with him tomorrow. I got to talk to him about it. Right, and I have a commitment, more importantly, to myself, to my well-being, to my health, to these goals that I've set out for myself. And so, I changed my game plan up. I didn't do the half a mile run there and the half a mile run back. I took another route that was like more direct to the gym. Went straight to the gym. I got my run in on the treadmill and still did all of my routines, and then came right back home despite the weather. Right. But I knew if I did not demonstrate, and again, this is on a small scale, right? But if I didn't demonstrate the willingness, the desire to persevere and overcome this bad weather, right? This bad weather, how slippery of a slope that could be to me deviating from my plans in the future, right? Because now I've made that one compromise, and then so in the next day I'm supposed to work out on Friday. Well, man, I'm still not really feeling it. It's still a little bit cold, and now I've deviated. And then the next Monday, I got too much going on, and then next thing you know, I'm totally off the wagon, and I'm no longer following my process, right? I'm no longer following the game plan that I've laid out for myself. And so we talked about that a little bit with our Cold Brew and Convos about, giving into temptation or making a compromise can lead to bad habit or habits not sticking. Right. And so that's where perseverance comes into play, like being able to push through that, being able to figure out another game plan so that you can still hold true to your goals.
Yeah. You just know, right? And I think for a lot of us too, it's, we have that thought, right? Like, man, as soon as I start trying to do right, like all of a sudden, all these things start coming at me. And it's almost like, the world is trying to stop you from doing good and to try to stop you from hitting those goals. You just have to look at them for what they are, right? They're challenges. And, if it was easy, everybody would do it. That's number one. And number two, it's those challenges and you persevering through those things and eventually coming out the other side and attaining those goals that really make the journey so satisfying. And thinking about why are you doing this in the first place? Maybe you're an entrepreneur out there and you've just started a business or you're thinking about starting a business. You have to have that plan in place. What is it you're trying to obtain? Who are you looking to serve? Why are you looking to serve those people? How are you going to serve them? And then what is that plan to get there? What is your plan for growth? What is your plan for marketing? What is your plan for revenue growth? All of those things that you need to really think about to have a solid plan in place. And as you go through that process, again, there's just going to be challenges. I mean, I think about when we started Trinity Fitness. And, you know, if it wasn't for the fact that we definitely had a vision, and we had a goal, but if it wasn't for the fact that we had certain milestones and certain tasks and items and action steps that we were looking to accomplish to achieve that goal, the first goal was just to even, start from those humble beginnings and get to a point where we were going to actually have our own facility. So the first thing was, we got to start. How do we let people know that we're doing this? We have to go through the process of getting certified and sign on with Trinity Fitness Ministries. So we started doing workouts at our house in our garage. Then it was like, okay, how can we expand this a little bit? We were blessed to have an opportunity to partner with my local church and use some space there. That allowed us to continue to grow. And as a donation, primarily donation-based nonprofit, like we relied on that, but that next step and attaining that and hitting that goal allowed us to be able to raise enough funds to be able to then have and secure the funding that we needed to get our own gym. But along the way, I remember times where we're trying to set up class and there's other things going on, and like the gym is full because there's a volleyball game or a basketball game. And it was just, again, challenges and things that you're going to be faced with, or you're trying to get, again, X amount of donations and payments, and maybe you didn't hit that particular mark. It's like, okay, but I still know the goals that I have set for myself. How do we make adjustments and continue to move forward? And again, eventually we got to that point. We opened up the gym, and then that gave us a new set of goals and a new set of things that we were trying to achieve, but it also, provided a new set of challenges. But through all that, all of those different steps, again, knowing that we had a solid plan in place, and knowing the why, and then sharing that why and sharing that vision. Because that was something that we talked about, in the Cold Brews Convos as well, as like, don't go it alone. When you have people on your side, when you have a team, we use the example of like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or someone like Michael Strahan. You may say, well, yeah, those guys, one, they have a lot of money, and they have all of these people helping them. You have people out there too. If you share your vision, if you share your goals, some people are not going to be with it, so you have to be mindful of who you're sharing it with, but have that wise counsel that you seek and those people that you go to that are going to be able to assist you and help you to really make sure that vision and that dream becomes a reality. So I'm thankful for people like yourself, Dee, and another very close friend of mine, Elliot Rodriguez, that was on the board as well. My mother-in-law, who helped out, obviously my wife, and just everybody that was part of that journey that we went on. It's crucial, again, to be able to have a team that's going to be able to help you, to make sure that you're implementing that plan, like you said, that's going to be able to hold you accountable. Hey, you said you were going to do this. You said you were going to take these steps. Where are you at with that? And talk about those things and encourage each other to move forward. You're going to make mistakes. There's going to be challenges again along the way, and maybe you realize the steps that you were taking weren't the right ones, but like, just don't beat yourself up about it. Give yourself that good amount of grace, and then if you need to, like, maybe pause and then start over.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, if you find you get to a spot where you have to stop, that's okay. And I even think about where we're at now. I mean, eventually it got to a point where Trinity Fitness itself was something that stopped, at least in Central Florida when we ended it. But I still have a dream. I still have a vision to help people to reach their goals, to really, again, not just be a leader, but live a life that's worth following, right? And be a leader in their home, in their community, in their workplace, in the marketplace, wherever it is that they're at. And years, fast forward, we're here now. We're through, again, partnering up and getting help and working together as a team, we're still moving forward to really still hit some of those same goals in a different way. But the why as to what we're doing and why we're doing is still there, man. It's still just a heart to help people, again, craft their vision, see their vision, set those goals, put plans in place, and chase those goals and be relentless about it, and persevere through all of those tough times. So highly important, man, just to make sure that, again, solid plan, persevere through those plans because you have that why in place, and then have a team or get a coach and get somebody that's going to be able to coach you, that will show you the steps that you need to take to put the plan in place, to mind map, put the plan in place, and then make adjustments along the way if you need to.
Yeah, well, that's actually part of the reason why I think, the segment that we did, or the Cold Brews Convos segment that we did, where we talked about asking for help, is so critically important, because I think where we fall short at times as leaders. I was literally just having this conversation, with another good friend of ours, and just kind of hearing what their goals are, what their aspirations are, but also hearing how they feel overwhelmed. Like, you have to be able to ask help, right, in order to tap into the team that you have around you. Like, you have people that are willing to, pick up a shovel to help you dig, to help you lay the foundation for what you're trying to build. But because of our own negative self-talk and, just our own discomfort with asking for help getting in the way, that's what's preventing you from building the team that you need in order to take it to the next level, whether it's because somebody can help you from an accountability perspective, they can help you from a development perspective, they can help you from a strategy perspective, they can help you from a execution perspective. Like, you have to first and foremost be willing to embrace and to help, or to ask for help, so that you can build out the team. And there's just too many examples of phenomenal leaders and, these organizations that we aspire to, and we kind of hold up as a gold standard of, exceptional business, or, phenomenal entrepreneurs or phenomenal athletes, or whatever you want to use. But the common denominator is that all of these individuals have teams. They are not doing this stuff by themselves. I don't care who they are. You can give me any name, any example. I know for a fact that they have a team. I was just watching a video where Percy Miller, Master P, was talking about his journey and how he took a $10,000 life insurance policy that his grandfather left him after he passed, and he flipped that $10,000 to build his entertainment empire. And he is regarded as one of the wealthiest entertainment entrepreneurs, period, point blank period, with what he was able to build out with No Limit Records, and just kind of the suite of businesses that he's in, right? And he talked about, you need a team. Like, I don't care who you are, I have a team. Bill Gates has a team. Like, yeah, you have this individual that you see as kind of the primary figure for the organization, but they're not doing this stuff alone by any stretch of the imagination. The empire that I was able to build was not just me solely doing it all myself. I had to build a team, and that team is what unlocked my ability to be successful. So not only is it important to ask for help and to build a team so that you can develop the goal, right, and then be able to build on that foundation, but again, that team is critically important for perseverance. And the last thing that I'll say for our legacy leaders that are listening, and I want to be very, very clear about this, if there is any part of you, because of negative self-talk, whatever the case may be, that you question your ability to persevere, you question your ability to dig deep and to overcome obstacles that are in front of you, I am here to tell you right now, there should not be a single damn question in your mind about your ability to overcome, to persevere, to push through. If you are listening to this, if you are watching this, right, if you are blessed enough to be in a position to enrich yourself right now, that means that you persevered through one of the most challenging years in human history. From a mental perspective, from a health perspective, from an emotional perspective. Many of you that are listening have had to overcome losing your job, not knowing how you're going to pay the next bill, not knowing how you're going to keep food on the table, and figuring out a way to do it. Losing people that you love dearly, folks that you bought in the new year with, and for 2020, that you couldn't bring the new year in with in 2021, and you found a way to be able to get through that and see yourself to this day. There should never be a question in your mind about your ability to persevere. You have it in you. The difference is, when it becomes life and death, we find that additional reserve. We dig deep, we tap into that, and we say, look, our back's against the wall. There's no other option but for me to figure it out. My challenge to our legacy leaders that are listening is, take that same mindset and apply it to whatever goal that you've laid out for yourself in 2021, whether it's putting yourself onto a path of financial success, whether it's getting your first property, whether it's building out your small business, whether it's your weight loss goals and your fitness goals and being in a better position, from a health perspective. Tell yourself that there is no other damn option. The same way that there was no other option but to figure it out when you got furloughed, when you lost that job, when you didn't know how you were going to pay bills, but you figured it out. You need to have that exact same mindset when it comes to the goals that you've committed to yourself in 2021, because just like those other situations in 2020 were life or death, this is life and death. This is truly life and death. We have no better example coming out of 2020 about how fleeting life can be, about how tomorrow is definitely not promised for anybody. And so for me, knowing that, having those examples, it's only ratcheted up the urgency for me to make the most of every single day that I am blessed with, to wake up and to be able to work towards what I'm building, to make the most out of that damn day, because there's no guarantee that it's going to be there tomorrow. So I'm leaving it all on the table today because it is life or death. And so if you have that same mindset, I'm confident that you'll be able to find that reserve and be able to persevere. And that's what we're talking about at the end of the day. Working, planning your work, more importantly, working your plan. And when you inevitably run into that bad weather, you open that door to go out and work your plan, and you run into that bad weather, saying, bad weather be damned, I'm going to figure out how to get it done, because there's no other option but for me to go out there and get it done, period.
Amen. Amen to that, brother. I'm with you. We want you to persevere. We want you to continue to, again, and we're going to get heavy into this in the upcoming weeks, not just, survive, not just endure, but again, really learn how to be resilient and persevere. You may feel like giving up. You may feel like, for one reason or another, giving up on your goals. If you find yourself in that spot, it may benefit you to get some type of professional help by getting a coach. A lot of these different examples that we've provided, as well as far as different figures, they have coaches. They have people. There's well-known, high-ticket coaches in the industry that have a mentor or are getting coached by somebody else. Business owners, when you see folks go on Shark Tank, they're looking for a coach. They're looking for a mentor to help them, funding as well, but they know the asset, that the knowledge this person is bringing to them is the real benefit that they're getting. So know that, again, a coach can definitely help. I'll remind you guys, again, if you want to contact us and have more conversations, you can do that by joining us in the Legacy Leadership community within our Facebook group. Again, we'd love to connect there with you. Again, have more conversation, give you an opportunity to take advantage of the resources, and not just us, but again, we have a wealth of knowledge. When I look at the different leaders that we have in this community, that's still growing, and we have so far to go. So we want you to join us in there. Other thing that I want to mention is that, if you're having a hard time focusing, and you know the goals that you want to attain, or at least you have a good idea of those, but when you put this action plan together and then you start to implement, you see yourself getting distracted. You're losing focus. You don't necessarily have or know all of the proper tools to help you be as effective as you can. Another way that you can get coaching from us is going to be through our Focus for Success e-learning course that we've just released. So I definitely encourage you, go to the show notes. You'll find the link in there. You'll be able to go to the website and get all the details. But if you know that you have a problem focusing and you want to be able to develop that laser-like focus to achieve the goals that you're setting for yourself, again, this is going to be that thing that through this series of videos and content that we're providing, you're going to be able to get coached up by Devon and myself. Devon is going through a series of videos, and we have a workbook and everything that's going to give you not just sitting there watching stuff, but making sure that you're putting things into action to diffuse the distractions that are around you, so that you can have that focus that you need. Productivity secrets, to make sure that you're utilizing the right type of tools to keep yourself on track and know what tasks you need to hit, and you have those milestones that you can check along the way. So again, if you want that type of coaching, that is available to you. Go into the show notes, take a look at it. Again, you will not be disappointed. We've been putting a lot of work and effort to finally get to this point. It was one of our goals, right? And we had a plan. We've been working through that. Believe me, there have been challenges along the way, but we know our why. Our why is you. Yeah. We want to make sure that we're helping you, that we're providing as much value so that you can invest. You're investing time now by listening or watching us. Take that additional step and invest in yourself a little bit more and help yourself, again, focus for success. So I encourage all of our folks out there to go ahead and do so. And we'd love to continue to work with you and get feedback along the way and help you take your focus to the next level. So again, we can persevere and not just hit, but just like crush these goals that we all have for 2021. So do that. Make sure that you join us in the Legacy Leadership Group within Facebook. You can also find us on a number of different platforms. You can follow Devon at Leadership Docent on Instagram. You can also follow me on Instagram at Coach_Jimmy G Jr. I realize I haven't been saying that for weeks now. It's Coach _Jimmy G Jr. Again, you can follow us on Instagram there, or follow Legacy Leadership at Legacy Leadership on Instagram. And then Facebook, YouTube, and of course LinkedIn for our LinkedIn pros out there, Legacy and Leadership Podcast. Please give us a like, give us a comment as well. I'd definitely like to know how you feel about this topic, about goals, and more importantly, persevering, and how you use that plan to persevere through the challenges that you're going to be faced with to accomplish the goals. Maybe share some stories of where you've done just that yourself. We'd love to hear that. So go ahead and leave a comment for us. Again, follow us on those social media platforms, like, comment, and then subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. We definitely appreciate that. And if you're one of our loyal listeners, go ahead and like the podcast episode and leave us a review. We definitely love to get your feedback there as well. So again, really, really, really good discussion on the importance of setting goals, making sure that you have a solid plan, a solid foundation in place, and then knowing your why. When you have that solid foundation and you know the why and what you're going after and why you're doing it, again, inevitably there's going to be challenges that you're going to be faced with, but having those things in place are going to make it not easy, but easier to persevere through those challenges that you're going to be faced with, and again, come out on the other side of that and be successful. And even if for whatever reasons maybe you don't necessarily hit that goal, there's just still so many lessons to be able to learn from that if you look at it with that right mindset and that right perspective. So that's it for you guys again. That's goal setting and perseverance. Definitely encourage you to stick around for the next episode that we have coming up. It's going to be our first installment of our MBA series for season 2, More Than a Pod. Typically, if you've been following us on this journey, you know that our MBA series, we invite another third party, a guest, to come on here, and we ask them questions about how they have been mentored by adversity and how their leadership style was developed through adversity they've gone through. We're going to deviate that from that just a little bit. It's still going to be an MBA series, but we really I felt like it was timely and it was important to focus that MBA series on Kobe Bryant and the Mamba mentality. That was one of the tragic events, that started kind of 2020 for us. And we wanted to break down his leadership style and kind of the good, bad, and really talk about, what we've researched and what we've heard about how other people have felt about his leadership style and how he led his family, how he led his team, and just kind of break down a lot of those different aspects. So then definitely, again, stay tuned for the next episode. You're not going to want to miss that. For our legacy leaders out there, again, we thank you for just continuing to rock with us. We hope that you're getting a lot of value out of these conversations that we're having. Like, this is the time of year to really digest and digest these golden nuggets, that we're dropping for you, and then apply, and get after it. If you need help, we're here for you. Definitely never forget that. So again, until next time, we appreciate you guys very much. God bless and stay encouraged.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.
You have just listened to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, hosted by Jimmy Gonzalez and Devon Watts. Thank you, and we hope that you live, lead, and leave a legacy worth remembering. Until next time.